I love how God gently just gives you what you need in every season.
Well, Brooklyn Whitmer is here, and she's an actress known for her starring role as Adriana Miller in Don't Say My Name and the TV miniseries Fragment. What drew you to the role of Don't Say My Name?
I really had to dive deep into like the character, who she was, because she is a trafficking survivor. And this film is a little different than others. It's more about how it happens after being rescued from a trafficking situation. And because of what happened, so like her mother's boyfriend trafficked her. But so it was like a family relational thing. And so it was deeper, it wasn't just like, I mean, it was trafficking, which is horrific, but then also adding on the fact that somebody close to you would actually do something like that. So adding on the pain and the hurt and all of that. So this film, yeah, it's a little different than other ones you've seen in trafficking movies. So yeah, we talk more about what happens after she comes out of that situation. And she's a teenage girl, and she was wanting to be a ballerina, and she had a life. And then now that she was hurt and coming out of that, it's like, okay, will she forgive? Will she be able to move on? Will she have a like live her life? Will she be able to find freedom, true freedom? And you'll get to witness that in the film.
I saw the film. I loved every moment of that film. And I couldn't get up from my seat. Actually watched it, everybody. So you can see this movie on YouTube and it's free. And just keep watching it because I'm going to actually watch it again because I really did love your character. I love the intensity of it. Steph Course was in it, of course. What was the deep part of your character in the movie about?
Yeah, so playing her, I had to, yeah, definitely get to that place of not being okay and actually like letting that out. And as humans, like, you meet somebody and in a general social situation and you want to be good. You're like, oh, we're great, life's good, whatever. And even if you have a little bit of something going on, you're not gonna, say that. But through this process of like knowing that she had this deep hurt, I knew for myself I had to unlock that part of myself that I was scared of, like the vulnerability, um, allowing myself to like cry and know that it's what if I'm not okay? How would I actually handle that? What it would look like? And so getting to a deep part of myself, stripping off all of the layers of everything's fine, everything's good. It took a lot, because for me, I think I piled on even my personal life. I was always the person, I'm a happy-go-lucky person, and Joy is my middle name, actually. So it's just natural for me to have that. But I don't think I knew. I mean, I did know that I was like, I feel like my thing was I wanted everyone else to feel good and I wanted them to feel joy. So even if I did have a bad day, it was not easy for me to express that. I didn't really know how to express it because I didn't really want it to be a problem for anybody else.
Mhm.
I care so much, I guess you could say. But then I realized, well, if you can't allow yourself to stuff that because it only adds like more hurt to your life because you're not letting out what needs to be discussed or maybe what needs to be just expressed because maybe you just don't feel good and that's okay. Sometimes you need a little cry. And so through this process, getting through this character and like having that breakthrough, I had to also have a breakthrough. So it was like, it was so cool, like for me to be like, oh, I think I'm seeing now, like I don't have the same situation, and that is horrific what happened to her. But we
Mm.
have pain, and I can connect in that. Like there's pain.
Mhm.
Um, and so, and then I was so thankful because after doing this role and playing this girl who I like just really loved because I feel like this role was like needing to be shared. I got responses from survivors that would come up to me that were actually who were trafficked for real. And they would just like cry and share their stories. And I felt deeply for them because there was that pain that sits there. And hearing their stories was just horrific what had happened to them. But knowing
Mhm.
that they connected with me and like they felt they felt like we could had this shared something was shared there. And I'm like, that was what it was about. The impact and knowing that they had a safe place because sometimes they just don't feel safe. They don't feel
Mhm.
like there's someone there for them. And they don't know where to go with that.
Mhm.
And so this film, I'm so thankful just the way that the story was told. And it was truly inspired by God. Like our writer talks about that. She said God just gave her the story, truly, and the title. And it was just amazing to see that come to life.
hmm I like the part that, yeah, it's after the fact, like, she was running, but it's funny. There is one part, and I'm going to give that spoiler. There is one point where she gets to the station, right? And she's talking to a woman,
Yeah.
police officer, and then she decides to run back out because she didn't want to go back, or I don't know what she was thinking at that point, but she just did not want to be there. She needed to be free and out. So it's kind of like you really brought it home there, because I was like, oh, wow, I know, like sometimes we want to go back to things that we did that we're so comfortable with, right? And so that's how I felt the character made me feel, like she was doing something she felt comfortable in doing. And
Mhm.
so what was the challenge in all of that part that you found?
In the character, yeah. So in playing that, she was literally scared. Like I think like when she went back, like you said, she was comfortable. And sadly, like that reality is just not like the best place to be in. But she was maybe, and technically too, she was scared for her life and for her family. She thought someone was going to hurt them because of me. And she felt that weight and responsibility. She's like, well, and a lot of times the victims feel like, or the survivors, I should say, I feel like they're survivors. They feel like, from the perspective that I heard, that the people that are above that, like the perpetrators, the people that actually do these things to them, they feel like they're above the law. So they feel
Mhm,
like there's no way that these people are not going to they're going to get away with things, and someone's going to get hurt, and they feel that
mhm,
weight and responsibility. And
mhm,
so also with that situation, she was just like, well, no one's going to be able to help me. Like even the law can't help me. So I have to leave, and someone's
mhm,
going to find me. Someone's going to know who I am. And so she just has to, and I love with Adriana, you could tell even in that fear and all of that, she also had this fire in her. And like we talk about that, she has this like, she is not she also has a a drive to live. Like she's like, I need to live. Even if I don't know, like, I don't know how to handle all this. Like I really don't, but I know I have to stay. Like, I just don't want, I want to do something like that will only like push me forward. And
mhm,
in whatever direction that is, which thankfully she had the opportunity to be rescued, and she did find people that were actually speaking life into her, true life.
mhm, mhm,
Um, and so I admire that about her. Like she had a lot of that grit to actually make
mhm,
it through.
mhm,
And I feel like survivors are like that. Like you have to have that, because it's just horrific the things they have to go through. So
mhm.
for sure,
And then they live with this for the rest of their life. That's the whole thing,
yeah.
you know? And so, what do you hope people get out of that film?
There's like two things that I think about, that they find true freedom, and they know who, like, and for me that's my faith. Like I would personally hope that they find something they can hold on to. And for me, I knew, for me, I was like, my faith. And in this film you get to see some faith elements to it, and just like knowing that she was like searching for something, and they were introducing her to some a freedom that no one's probably, and maybe they did express, but she needed, Adriana needed that. And he's like, the Lord is the anchor. And so I hope for anyone who comes out of that, they have a freedom to hold on to, knowing that they're not their past, that they can look toward the future and have a hope for the future. There is hope for the future. And then also too, with this film, that there's awareness,
Mhm,
because we all need to be able to know like the signs. We need to be able to know who to call, how to handle a situation, even as a public. We had Homeland Security on our set, which was wild. These government agents, and they were telling us how much it means that people are also helping them catch these people and know the signs and be aware, because they can't just do it on their own. They need the public as well. So they were very
Mhm.
much helping us on this set and making sure we are authentic in the ways that we portrayed everything, which
Mhm.
was so wonderful because we could honestly understand the reality and be like, this is the reality. This is what they do. This is their job. And then it was so cool too because through we did some movie screenings after finishing the film, and one of the agents would come and join us and do a Q&A with the crowd. And it was so helpful because we had the feeling and we knew um, some stories, but then they were like, they were in it.
Mm.
They saw it. So it was so wonderful to have them and hear how we can help as a public as well. So
Mhm.
that would be those two things: freedom and knowing and how to help.
Yeah. Well, talking about your faith, how did your faith, bring you to this, where you're actually relying on God even through your own personal life?
Yeah, for sure. So I love how God gently just gives you what you need in every season. And He doesn't give it to you all at once, because I think He knows we would almost feel like I know for me, I find myself like, okay, if I do this and this, we're great, you know. But the Lord's like gently nudging, like revealing in His time. And it
Mhm.
really is for me. I know even in this season, it's like he talks about purpose, and he talks about like just confidently walking in like what he has. And for me and for all of us, and I think when we know and we really get to know who Christ is through his word, and like we talked about, like get to know who he is through his word, and we literally get to understand like more of his character. We just love him all the more. But he loves us, he lavishes love on us, but we love him all the more, and that makes us love other people more. And that is truly like a gift, because I think I found myself through the years just breaking off things that the Lord has been wanting me to break off, because he's been showing me that. And now I feel like I'm in a place where I'm like, there's just freedom here. Like, yeah, of course, like a human, things, I'm not going to be perfect. Things are going to be crazy. Nothing's going to be like, but I know who I am. I'm confident in my calling. I love God because he just shows himself in the most beautiful ways, and he lavishes his love so I can love others well. And it's just like a gift to just have that like in your life, because it fills you up regardless of the milestones, the career things. It's like I'm truly living. So that's just a gift.
That's great. That sounds so wonderful because I can see how God has led you along through your career and step by step. Now, you co-host the podcast called Consider the Lilies. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's been a wonderful gift too. So Consider the Lilies is a podcast about women in faith and careers. So kind of just like they're, in ministry, maybe we had one lady that was in prayer ministry. We had Sherry Rigby, who's in the entertainment industry with acting and all of that, and then Beverly Holloway, which is awesome. She's a casting director, and yeah, like all kinds of women just in different fields, not even particularly entertainment. But it's been a really cool space to talk about our faith and hearing women share their journeys and being encouraged by that. So it's really wonderful. And if you want to listen to the podcast, it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we do videos on YouTube as well.
Wonderful. And they can find you also if they want to know more about you and all your acting debuts. And you also did the miniseries Fragment, right?
Yeah.
So that's on IMDb. I saw that. So, they can find you on IMDb. They can find you on social media, and where else? Anywhere else they could find you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's IMDb, Brooklyn Whitmer, Wittmer. Brooklyn spelled like New York. That's how I always say it. I'm not from there, but I love saying that. It's just so fun. It's how you spell it. So,
Yeah.
but then yeah, social media, which is Brooklyn Whitmer on Instagram, Brooklyn Whitmer Official on Facebook, and then I do have a website, brooklynwhitmer.com, if you want to check that out as well. Don't be afraid to live out your calling, um, and don't be afraid to take leaps of faith when you feel the Lord nudging you to step into something. and don't be afraid to give something a try, because like I know for me, I've always, like we talked about before, staying content, staying in a bubble, easy to kind of sit in that and just be like, I'm here, this is where I'm at. But like the Lord just wants us to keep pushing further and further into his calling for us, so that we can further the kingdom. We can share with others the goodness of his love. And that takes us being willing to open up our gifts and our talents and our time. And so that's just what I want to leave with everybody. Just, yeah, just don't be afraid to fearlessly pursue what he has.
Thank you for joining me today for this interview with Brooklyn Whitmer. She's such a wonderful actress and a joy to have on. I hope that you like and subscribe, and go to thecallwithNancySabato.com to find out more about me and what we do here on this ministry. This is a ministry about Christ and about the people who love him. So we'll see you next time on The Call with Nancy Sabato.